Okay, let us start. I should make it formally. Distinguished delegates, friends, welcome to you all to this informal briefing on the preparations for the 63rd session of the Commission for Social Development. The 63rd session of the Commission will be held from Monday, the 10th of February, to Friday, 14th of February. So it's 1 week. Today's briefing is intended to help facilitate the preparations for the upcoming session, and I'm pleased to convene this briefing in my capacity as the chair of the Commission for the 63rd session. Allow me to highlight a number of important procedural organization matters, after which Mr. Charles Kataanga, the Director of the Division for Inclusive Social Development of the Department of Economic and Social Affairs, the DESA, will provide us with additional information on the proposed substantive work of the Commission. And after the briefing, I will invite all the delegations to comment and pose any questions that arise. Delegations wishing to take the floor will be invited to press the microphone button to request the floor. We also have with us the Secretary of the Commission, Ms. Mina Nozawa, who can respond to any procedural or technical questions that you might have. Okay, so that's the informative part, and now I will turn to the subject of today's informal briefing. So tell you some a bit of information about how the 63rd session will proceed. So as delegations may know, the provisional annotated agenda for the session is contained in the E/cn.5/2025/1 was issued in all official languages on the official document system, the ODS, and circulated through the e-delegate on the 13th of December. The proposed organization of work is included in the annex to the same document. It is also available in the informal table matrix format. These documents are also available on the Commission's website. So if you may wish, you may consult them also there. The 63rd session of the Commission is expected to take place fully in person. All formal meetings of the Commission will be held actually in this very room, the conference room 4. So you can get acquainted because of course you know the place. But so that's the place we will be convening the session. Pursuant to Economic and Social Council decision 2024/315 adopted on the recommendation of the Commission for Social Development at its 62nd session, the priority theme of the 63rd session will be strengthening solidarity, social inclusion, and social cohesion to accelerate the delivery of the commitments to the Copenhagen Declaration on Social Development and Programme of Action of the World Summit for Social Development, as well as implementation of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. And we know that this commission actually will be convened just ahead of the World Summit for Social Development that will take place later this year, the second edition. So this is, I think, in that case, this is a very important session of the CSocD this year. In order to produce a constructive outcome for the 63rd session of the Commission, 5 panel discussions will be held as follows. Number 1, the high-level panel discussion on the follow-up of the World Summit for Social Development in a view of the World Social Summit under the title The Second World Summit for Social Development, and it will take place on Monday, the 10th of February at 11:30 a.m. Given its importance, I urge all members of the Commission to send high-level representation to this panel discussion. Secretary General's report on the priority theme will be issued as document E/cn.5/2025/3. A ministerial forum on the title Strengthening Solidarity and Social Cohesion, and it will be convened on the Tuesday, 11th of February at 10 a.m. 2 panel discussions on the emerging issue on social resilience and social development will be held back-to-back on Wednesday, 12 February at 10 a.m. and then the following. The Secretariat's note on the emerging issue will be issued as document E/cn.5/2025/3 2025/7. And so, so the emerging issue is around the topic of social resilience and social development. Then the interactive dialogue with senior officials of the United Nations systems on the titled Preparations for the World Social Summit, under the title the Second World Summit for Social Development, and that will be held on Thursday, 13th of February at 10 a.m. And finally, we have a multi-stakeholder forum on promoting solidarity and social cohesion through cooperatives, the social and solidarity economy as a path for achieving the SDGs, and that will be held on Thursday, February 13th at 3 p.m. More information on the panelists and the moderators for the interactive discussions will be provided in due time. We are now in the conclusive phase of collecting all the confirmations. In order to ensure a meaningful and interactive discussion, I urge you all to take advice, to advise your delegations to avoid reading out prepared statements during the interactive dialogues. We should come prepared to interact and respond to suggestions made, propose new and innovative ideas, and share our experiences so that we can draw upon good practices and lessons learned, especially, as I said, in a view of the upcoming Second World Summit for Social Development. As in the past, there will be no pre-established list of speakers for the panel discussions. Delegations will be requested to press the microphone button to request for the floor. Every effort will be made to accommodate ministers and vice ministers first, and delegations are encouraged to inform the Secretariat in the room on the day of the meeting if any ministers or deputy ministers are interested to intervene in the respective panel discussions. For interactive dialogues, time management will be critical. I therefore urge all delegations to make brief interventions of up to 3 minutes, if not less, in response to the presentations, and to put their questions to the presenters in a succinct and direct manner at the start of their intervention. The presiding officer will announce the time limit before giving the floor to the first speaker. Only if necessary, when the number of requests from the floor is high, speakers' microphones will be automatically muted when their allotted time has elapsed. And to the general discussion. Turning to the general discussion, the Bureau proposes to hold a joint general discussion of the sub-items A and B of the agenda item 3, as was done in previous years, so as to rationalize the work of the Commission. All statements in the general discussion will be delivered in person. The Commission will begin the joint general discussion of sub-items A and B on agenda item 3 on the morning of Monday, 10th of February, following the opening. The general discussion will continue in the afternoon from 3 to 6 p.m. on Tuesday 11th from 10:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. and from 3 to 6 p.m. and on Wednesday 12th February from 3 to 6 p.m. and on Thursday 13th February from 11:30 to 1 p.m. And it's expected to conclude on the afternoon of the Thursday 13th of February, following the conclusion of the multi-stakeholder forum. The proposed time limits for the statements are 7 minutes for the delegation speaking on behalf of the groups of the states, and 5 minutes for individual delegations, 3 minutes for the intergovernmental organizations and the UN system, and 3 minutes for the non-governmental organizations in consultative status with the Economic and Social Council. The time allocated for the general discussion on the draft program of work is based on these time limits and on the number of statements delivered during the recent sessions. Delegation time-keeping device will be used during the statements of the general discussion to help keep the program on track, and that's very important. In the interest of efficiency, the Bureau of the 61st session has decided to mute microphones when the agreed time limits have reached. At this stage, I wish to stress the importance of punctuality and adherence to the time limits set for statements in the general discussions and interactive dialogues. There is no formal meeting planned on the morning of Friday, 14th February, so as to allow delegations to participate in the civil society forum in time before our scheduled conclusion in the afternoon and to enjoy the St. Valentine's Day. I would also note that the Commission will consider Agenda Item 4, entitled Program Questions and Other Matters, as its sub-items A and B on Friday, 14 February at 3 p.m. Under sub-item B of the Item 4, the Commission will have, but before it notes by the Secretary General on the nomination of the members of the Board of the United Nations Research Institute for Social Development, and transmitting the report of the Board contained in the E/CN.5/2025/8 and the E/CN.5/2025/9, respectively. The Commission will be called upon to extend the term of office of 2 members for an additional 2 years and to nominate 1 new member of the Board on UNRIST for confirmation by the Economic Social Council as contained in the E/CN.5/2025/8. Again, and turning now to some organizational aspects of the work of the Commission, delegations are kindly requested to inform the Secretariat of any accessibility requirements in order to facilitate participation in the meetings. Adjustments may be made to seating arrangements to enable the participation of persons with disabilities in keeping with the General Assembly Resolution 73/341. Please note that the inscription in the list of speakers of the agenda items 3A and B will be opened on Wednesday, 22nd January at 10 a.m. Delegations wishing to inscribe to the list of speakers will be invited to do so by using the e-speakers module in the e-delegate portal. As per established practice, the list will be prepared on the first-come, first-served basis, with priority given according to the UN protocol. More detailed information on how to inscribe on the lists of speakers will be provided in the journal under the forthcoming meetings. The list of the participants will also be processed based on the submissions by delegations via e-participants and on the e-delegate, similar to the previous years. Relevant information can also be found in the journal announcement on the session. Regarding access to the e-delegate platform, please note that those delegates who were subscribed to the last year's session of the Commission in e-delegate will have continued access for the 63rd session. Those who are new to the Commission will need to contact the access administrators in their own respective missions to request access to the Commission's pages in the e-delegate. I would encourage delegations to arrange for access as early as possible so that they can take advantage of all announcements, including circulations of the zero drafts of the draft resolution by facilitators. For any questions regarding the e-delegate platform, kindly please contact the Secretariat in the room. Again, in order to ensure the proper interpretation, and all statements delivered in the Commission must be sent to the e-statements, as you know, UN.org, well in advance and at least 2 hours in advance of delivery. Statements submitted to the e-statements will be available on the UN Journal website. That was the technical information. Now coming back to the expected outcomes. I would now like to inform the delegations that the Commission is expected to take actions on the following 5 draft resolutions during this session. 1, the priority theme. The 2nd, the social dimension of the new Partnership for Africa's Development, NEPAD. The 3rd, the future organization and methods of work of the Commission. 4th, the modalities for the 5th review and appraisal of the Madrid International Plan of Action of Aging, 2022, and the 5th one, policies and programs involving youth. I will facilitate the draft resolution on the priority theme in my capacity as the chair of the Commission. The draft resolution on the social dimensions of the NEPAD will be coordinated by the vice chair designate of the Burundi and will be facilitated by the Group of 77 and China. Responsibility for and the facilitation of the draft resolution of the future organization and methods of work of the Commission will be undertaken by the vice chair designate of Austria. The responsibility for and facilitation of the draft resolution on aging will be undertaken by the vice chair designate of Qatar. The draft resolution on youth will be coordinated by the vice chair designate of Austria, and the facilitation of the draft resolution will be undertaken by the representatives of Cabo Verde, Kazakhstan and Portugal. Informal consultation on the zero draft text are expected to begin next week. The facilitators of the draft resolutions intend to circulate zero draft of the expected outcomes as soon as possible and before Friday 17th, but hopefully even before that. Additional information, including the schedule of informal consultations, will be circulated through the e-delegate, and I believe the one for the priority is already known to you all. The deadline for the submission of the draft proposals to the Secretariat is the 3 p.m. on Friday, 7th February, February the 7th. Regarding the membership of the Bureau, I'm pleased to announce that the Bureau is now fully constituted. Allow me to take this opportunity to acknowledge and appreciate the support of the Vice Chairs and the Vice Chair designates in ensuring informative and efficient functioning of this session. We look forward to the substantive discussion that will enrich our discussions. Before giving the floor to the Director of the Division for Inclusive Social Development of the DESA, I would like to remind you all that the request from the co-facilitators of the modalities and outcome of the intergovernmental preparatory process leading to up to the World Social Summit in 2025 under the title The Second World Summit for Social Development. I will encourage you to provide your inputs for the Food for Thought paper before the deadline of the 7th February 2025, focusing on the main substantive elements of the political declaration of the summit, as well as its structure. And as I said, this CSocD, it is important, especially in the view of the upcoming big event in Doha later this year. So we really look forward to the substantive and enriched discussions this year for our meeting. And now I invite Mr. Charles Katoanga, the Director of the Division for Inclusive and Social Development of the DESA, to take the floor. Director, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, distinguished delegates. I am honored to join you here today, my first engagement with the Commission since taking up my appointment, and extending a warm welcome to all of you for today's informal briefing and share further details regarding the substantive preparations for the upcoming Commission session. Let me also express my sincere gratitude to the Chair and Bureau for their outstanding leadership in guiding the organization of the session. To support member states in their deliberations on the issues covered by the 63rd session of the Commission, the Secretariat submits reports of the Secretary General and notes by the Secretariat. These reports contain substantive analysis and policy recommendations for the consideration of the Commission. Under Agenda Item 3, follow-up to the World Social Summit for Social Development and the 24th Special Session of the General Assembly, the following reports have been prepared. First is the report of the Secretary General on the social dimensions of the new Partnership for Africa's Development. Secondly, the report of the Secretary General on strengthening social cohesion through social inclusion. Third is a report of the Secretary General on preparations for and observance of the 30th anniversary of the International Year of the Family. Fourth, a report of the Secretary General on policies and programs involving youth. Fifth, a report of the Secretary General on the modalities for the fifth review and appraisal of the implementation of the Madrid International Plan of Action on Aging 2002. And sixth, a note by the Secretariat on emerging issues focusing on social resilience and social development. Distinguished delegates, as the Chair has already highlighted, alongside the general discussions, there will be 5 panel sessions designed to delve deeper into the issues and other valuable insights from various stakeholders. These panel discussions are designed to facilitate the sharing of national experiences and contributions of social partners, harnessing the Commission's convening power. A high-level panel will be held on the follow-up to the World Summit for Social Development in view of the World Social Summit under the title, The Second World Summit for Social Development. It aims to identify key gaps and opportunities to deliver on the commitments in the Copenhagen Declaration on Social Development and the Program of Action and to discuss how the Second World Summit for Social Development can support a new global consensus around social policies that leave no one behind and promote resilient and equitable societies. The high-level panel will be followed by a ministerial forum on strengthening solidarity and social cohesion. This forum will focus on actions and policies to strengthen social cohesion and solidarity to achieve social development goals. It will discuss questions such as how to strengthen social cohesion and solidarity at the national and local levels. What actions and policies are needed in the context of overlapping crises to regain momentum towards poverty eradication, social inclusion, and decent work. An interactive dialogue with senior officials of the United Nations system on preparations for the World Social Summit under the title The Second World Summit for Social Development aims to address regional perspectives, priorities, and contributions to the preparations of the summit, with a focus on how these regional inputs will inform the summit's outcomes and contribute to the broader goals of the 2030 Agenda. The multi-stakeholder forum will discuss country experiences in developing the social and solidarity economy and observing the International Year of Cooperatives by addressing such issues as the need for special legal frameworks, education curricula, and comparable statistics on the social and solidarity economy. Two panel discussions will focus on the Commission's emerging issue of social resilience and social development. The first panel will address policies to bolster social resilience in the context of more frequent and complex crises, while the second panel will explore universal rights-based social protection systems that adapt to evolving risks and support social resilience. These panels will examine the major structural transformations and widespread crises that are impacting social resilience and jeopardizing gains in social development. They will discuss policy actions to help recover lost ground and strengthen progress towards social resilience amid a turbulent and uncertain future. Delegates, finally, I would like to draw your attention to the Civil Society Forum, organized by the NGO Committee on Social Development in collaboration with the Friedrich Ebert Stiftung and DESA's Division for Inclusive Social Development. This forum will take place on 14 February 2025 in this conference room 4 from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Please allow me to take this opportunity to mention a few logistical matters. First, I would like to reiterate the key information the Chair provided regarding accessibility support. Should any delegates with disabilities require assistance, please notify the Secretariat in advance and reach out to the UN Accessibility Center at accessibilitycenter@un.org. Second, please note that all information regarding the session will be available on the CSocD63 website, social.un.org/CSocD. Mr. Chair, distinguished delegates, the Secretariat stands ready to support you in making the 63rd session of the Commission impactful as we look forward to the 2025 HLPF and the Second World Summit for Social Development. I thank you.
I thank Director Kataonga for his briefing, and now is the moment that I can open the floor to delegations wishing to make comments and pose questions. Those delegations that would like to take the floor should press the microphone button on the console, and time is now. Are we all too informative? Okay. So now I give the floor to the distinguished representative of the Hungary.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and congratulations to you and the Bureau for your appointment, and you have Hungary's full support to your important work. And thank you for all the information. I think it's very clear. I would have had just one practical information, knowing that this year in February we will have the CSocD session going on. And at the same time, we will start the negotiations for the CSW agreed conclusions as well. And for that reason, I was wondering what would be the schedule for the negotiation of these 5 resolutions? You mentioned that the 0 drafts will be shared in the course of next week, the latest by Friday. And how do you foresee the negotiations? Will they be ongoing during the CSocD session themselves, or is there an aim to conclude beforehand? It would be very helpful to know for our internal planning purposes. Thank you.
Okay, I should respond in the outset. Yes, we hope, and that's our ambition, to finalize all the negotiations before the CSocD convenes. We'll be sending the 0 drafts to you subsequently when they are concluded in the preparations. Some of them, to be honest, depends also on the releasing of the SG reports, but that will be done by the information will be provided by the facilitators. And as I said, for the priority theme, we wish the negotiations to start already on the 14th of January, and to conclude it at last by the 3rd of February. So we are prepared for 4+1 session on the priority theme starting 14th of January. That's what I can say on my side as the chair and co-facilitator of the priority theme. So that will be pretty much the same pattern for the rest, depending on finalizing the 0 drafts. But yeah, the ambition is to finish it by the time the CSocD is convened. Thank you. But of course, that means that all of you will have a lot of work. That's for sure, and us as well. No, we are responsible for that as much as you are. But you can expect that, you can be proud of yourself that probably this group of experts and responsible persons are the ones that starting this year as earliest. No, we are the first ones to kick off the ball this year. So pretty much we can set up the pace for the whole year of the UN working. Well, okay, colleagues, if there is no questions and you need some time for the conversation informal after this briefing is concluded. So I just like to thank you all for your attendance and the participation and just absorbing the information from us. I hope, and please just feel free to contact any of us in the upcoming weeks just to facilitate the preparation for the session, and I'll be happy to see you all and your ministers and all the other delegations in the February here. And as I said, I think this CSocD session it's a very important one in a view of the World Social Summit. Thank you so much. The briefing is adjourned.
Thank you, Excellency.